Hey folks, Papa Talk 912 coming back at you with a real quick and easy recipe today. This is by far one of the easiest recipes in my repertoire, and it's a oven baked macaroni and cheese. It's really only 4 ingredients, which is macaroni, eggs, heavy whipping cream, and cheese. So today I got 16 ounces of elbow macaroni, 4 large eggs. That's a quart of heavy whipping cream, and then 32 ounces of cheese. It's 16 ounces of sharp and 16 ounces of mild. And that salt over there, that's the pink Himalayan sea salt that I use. That's just to season the water while I'm cooking the macaroni so that they don't taste bland. Just get a little taste into those macaroni noodles. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ball off the macaroni noodles, and then I will then put the cream in there, add the cheese, add the eggs at the end, and slap it in the oven. Let it cook for about 30-40 minutes, and it'll be a nice dish that you can have. It's good by itself, but it also is good with just about anything you can mix with it. And with those items there, I won't be using all of it. I'll probably use a pint to a pint and a half of the whipping cream. And the cheese, I'm going to end up using, I'll definitely use the 16 ounces of sharp, but I'm probably only going to use about 8 ounces of the mild. It just depends. Every time you make it, it'll get a little this, a little that. Sometimes you need a little more cream to loosen it out, and sometimes a little more cheese. It just depends, but you know, that right there on that table will make a perfect pot of macaroni and cheese every time. You may have a little leftover of this or that, but I guarantee you, you try this recipe and you will like it. So I'm going to go ahead and ball up those noodles, and I'll be back. All right, guys. So I balled those noodles off, a little salt water, and I also put just a little bit of oil to keep them from sticking, and I cooked them al dente. Now I'm adding in the cream, and that right there is going to be 1.5 pints, roughly, of the cream. Heavy whipping cream. Get that blended around. And now I'm going to put in, that's the first bag of sharp cheese. Blend that around. And right now I have my fire on extremely low, like as low as it can go, because I just want this cheese sauce to develop itself nice and slow so it doesn't scorch or burn or try to stick to the pan or anything like that. Here's the second bag of sharp. Get that blended in. And then I'm going to go with the mild. Now, this is just your standard base macaroni and cheese right here with just sharp cheese. You can blend this cheese any way you want to. Sometimes I use Gouda, Jack cheese, Kobe cheese. I mean, you can use just about any cheese you really want to experiment and just keep your portions the same, and you'll get about the same results, and you'll find the blend that you like the best. There's half that bag of mild right there. I like cheddar the best, but I also like to use the Kobe and the Gouda sometimes too. So maybe I'll use 1 bag of sharp cheddar, 1 bag of Gouda, and then 1 bag of Kobe. If you can't find the bags, you can get the blocks too and chop them up as well. The bags just are easy because they melt quicker. So right now you can see that cheese sauce is developing up real nice. It's nice and cheesy, just like I like it. So I'm looking like my portions are doing good right now. So I'm going to just go ahead and let that, you can still see some of the cheese hasn't melted. So I'm going to let that melt down so it's just one consistent sauce. Then I'll take it off the flame and I will stir in the eggs. You have to, when you're pouring in the eggs, you need to stir it while you're pouring. So I probably won't be able to get that on film because I'm doing this by myself. Got the camera in one hand, and then I'm stirring with the other one But what you would do, you're going to go ahead and just start stirring like this right here. And then you slowly just pour that egg in just a little bit at a time. And just keep the flow going. And you'll get that egg blended in and mixed in. What you don't want to do is to just pour it on top and then try to mix it, because it won't get tempered and it'll start to cook. And you don't want it to cook, you want it to get tempered into the sauce. But now you can see that all that cheese is just about melted up in there now. Just a few little pieces in there. But at this point right here, looking at it, a little runny, but it's nice and cheesy. I mean, you can see that it's just a lot of cheese and sauce. You want a lot of sauce. That makes your macaroni just nice and kind of fluffy. So I'm going to go ahead and ladle these eggs in, and then I'll show you what it looks like after the eggs are in, because again, I can't ladle and stir at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll be back to you. Alright guys, so here we go. I have the eggs all blended in. And one thing I did do, I had 4 eggs out in the beginning, but I remembered that I used 2 eggs per bag of cheese and per 8-ounce bag of cheese. So I actually used 24 ounces of cheese, so I added 2 more eggs to go with that. I normally will make this recipe with about 12 ounces of noodles, but I went ahead and used the full 16-ounce box. So that's why I had to add a few more eggs, and also that was the other half a pint of heavy whipping cream as well. So if you really wanted to just make a small batch of this, if you went with about maybe like a third of a box of noodles, 1 pint, 2 eggs, and 1 bag of cheese, and that will be enough to make 1 portion if you want to make just a small portion of this. You notice I didn't put any oils or any butters in here. The cheese has oil in its own, so you don't need to add oil or butter to it. I know growing up we did put butter in it, but as I grew up I cut the butter out because there's enough oil in the cheese. If you get a good quality cheese with good flavor, you won't need that butter anyway. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in. I got me my glass dish right there. This is enough for this glass dish, and this meal right here, you can take this now. If you didn't want to cook it all now, you could cook some of it, let it cool off, put it in a Ziploc bag and freeze it till the next go round. Or you can actually go ahead and cook the whole thing, and when it cools after cooked, you can cut it and put it in like a vacuum seal it and freeze it, and then just take it back out and heat it back up slow in the oven later. There's lots of things you can do with it, and as far as preserving it, and those are the 2 things that I do. But today I'm going to go ahead and cook all of this off, and I'm just going to freeze the cooked one because it'd be a little easier to heat up later in the week, or 2 weeks later when we want to have more macaroni and cheese. So I'm going to go ahead and pour this into the glass dish, and I'll show you what it looks like before it goes in the oven. Alright folks, so now you can see that it is all in there and laid out flat. One thing you want to do when you pour it in, your noodles may tend to just stay in the middle where you poured. So what you want to do is take your ladle or your spoon and just flush it out and make sure your noodles are even throughout the whole thing, so you don't have just a lump of noodles and like a big pocket of sauce over there. You want the noodles to just be flat across all the way, and that's where you have it right there. It's a perfect portion for this size dish right here. Something else you can do if you really love cheese, at this point right here, you could sprinkle some more cheese, that shredded cheese, across the top and get a little cheesier crust. But this cheese sauce has enough cheese in it that it's going to make a nice, it's going to brown up in the oven. So that's on you if you want to do it or not do it. Either one is fine, but I'm not going to do it. I don't do it, but I do have friends that do it, and it's equally good. It's just a little more cheesy. I'm going to slap this in the oven. My oven was preheating. It just got to temperature at 375, and it's going to cook about 30-45 minutes at 375. And what you're looking for, you want that top to get nice and brown, and also you want to look at the edges. You want to look at the bottom, see all of that? You want all that down there to be brown all around the edges and on the bottom as well. So don't just focus on the top. You want to focus on the whole dish when you look at it in the oven. So I'm going to get this in the oven, and then we'll do an update later once it's getting cooking good. Alright guys, so you can see the macaroni is cooking nicely. The top is about as brown as I want it to get, but the sides haven't quite gotten where I want them to be yet. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take me a piece of aluminum foil. I'm just going to place me a tent. Just place a tent right on top of there. So now the top will not get any darker as the sides catch up. It's almost ready to go. Just want to get those sides a little bit darker, and then we'll be ready to eat this macaroni and cheese. So I'll bring it back out when it's all finished. Alright guys, so we're back now. It's been about another 15 minutes, and you can see that the sides and the bottom of that macaroni have now turned nice and brown. That's what we wanted it to get. So at this point, this macaroni is completely done. And if I take that tint off the top, you'll see that the top didn't get any darker because of that tint. So that stayed where we wanted it to be, and the sides caught up with it. And you notice I had this on the top rack. If I would have put it down the rack, it wouldn't have got as dark as quick on the top. But you just have to watch your stuff as you're cooking it. But that is the macaroni and cheese right there. Top view to the side view. It is good to go and ready. So I'll go ahead and take this off and dish it up for dinner. I hope you guys try this and let me know what you think. Papa Top 912 signing off.